Today, our guest is Mr. Toily Kurbanov, the Executive Coordinator of the United Nations Volunteers, on official visit in Central African Republic since 20th of November. Welcome to CAR, and please, could you tell us what motivates you daily in your service to UNV programs?
Thank you very much for inviting us. In fact, I'm also joined by my colleague, Joyce Sika Ahawa, who is representing the regional office. And she can also help us for the discussion. Going back to your question, if I may, I will be offering short answers, but if you want, I can then elaborate. What is motivating me was the question, right, in doing this job? Yes. Sense of duty. UNV is the system-wide service in the UN. So in my current role, I have a threefold sense of duty. First of all, a sense of duty to the UN, to MINUSCA, MINUSMA, MONUSCA, UNMIS, all other peacekeeping missions, political missions, to all other agencies, funds, and programs, because they trust UNV. So that gives us a serious sense of duty. Not to let them down, to meet their expectations, to make sure that UNV is supporting the whole of the UN. Second sense of duty is to the UN volunteers themselves, because many of them have taken risk leaving behind their countries. Others are staying in their own countries. They are going into unknown, joining the UN as UN volunteers. They are giving their best. They're giving up to 4 years of life. What can be more valuable than that? In the process, they're also learning a lot and developing a lot. But there is a sense of duty to the UN volunteers as well, so that we, whole UN system, not just UNV, but the whole UN system, do not let our UN volunteers down. We integrate them, we empower them. So for them, they would know it was worth taking that risk. And my last sense of duty is to the UNV global team. So in the world, we have 12,000 UN volunteers across all countries and continents. And behind those 12,000 UN volunteers are about 300 UNV staff in our headquarters in Bonn, in our regional offices such as Dakar, at the country level. So that's my team, that's our team. So also have a sense of duty to them, to make sure that together we, the UN system, UN volunteers, and UNV create meaningful results for the people whom we serve.
You've arrived in Bangui on 20th November, and you have since met with several partners and UN volunteers serving in CAR. In few words, what are the objectives of this mission?
The objective is to strengthen partnership with the entire UN in Central African Republic at this critical period of time. Strengthening the partnership means two things. One is the partnership has been growing over the last several years. The number of volunteers in the Central African Republic has increased. Different fields of work where they're working has increased. Different agencies, funds, and programs who are now working together with UN volunteers has also increased. So to strengthen the partnership is first to understand what has worked so well, to listen to the agencies, funds, and programs, to the mission, to the volunteers, and to understand what has worked so well so that we can build upon that. Second, it means having open, honest conversation what has not worked so well. Nothing is ever possible that everything is working so well. There are always areas for improvement. So in the discussion that we have had, we had also explored areas where we can improve, where we have learned lessons, and we can address the issues that have emerged in the process. So that's the second element, building on the positive, but also taking stock of the lessons learned to improve our services to the UN volunteers, to the UN system. But maybe Sika, you would want to add in French?
Yeah, merci beaucoup. Un des points, si je peux ajouter, ce que vient de dire le coordonnateur exécutif aussi, c'est de rencontrer aussi les volontaires. En Centrafrique, la Centrafrique est le deuxième pays qui reçoit le plus de nombre de volontaires dans la région. Donc, on ne peut pas seulement venir rencontrer les partenaires et ne pas rencontrer cette grande masse critique de volontaires qui servent dans la région. Donc, c'était aussi pour nous une opportunité de rencontrer tous ces volontaires qui servent non seulement dans la mission, mais aussi avec les agences à Bangui, mais aussi à l'intérieur du pays.
You are talking just right now about strengthening partnership. How this collaboration is going now?
It is going, it is growing, it is deepening, and it is diversifying. So if we compare UN volunteers in Central African Republic, even 5 years ago, and where we are today, there's a big difference. One thing, as we mentioned already, there are many more UN volunteers, both in the mission and agencies, funds, and programs. And of course, when there are many more UN volunteers, there are many more experiences, both of the volunteers themselves and of their supervisors and the UN leadership. So now we can have different conversations because we have all this new experience. Second area where it has been going and growing and diversifying is that we have many more national volunteers now than before. In the agencies, funds, and programs, there are even more national volunteers than international volunteers, which is a recognition that although in any country there are local capacity issues, yet there is capacity that the UN system is investing in, bringing on board, opening the doors into the UN and growing. In the mission itself, also the number of national volunteers has grown. So this is the second. First, the overall engagement increased and the experience is richer. Second, many more nationals. Third is we have now very close to achieving gender parity. For us, it was for many years important that when UN advocates on gender parity, gender equality, women's empowerment, with the governments, with the communities, we need also to address it internally, even before we advocate to the others. So that was important for us. Among the agencies, funds, and programs, there is already, I'm happy to say, full gender parity. Some agencies have more female, very capable UN volunteers than male UN volunteers who are also capable. In the mission, we will be, in some sections, there's already gender parity. In others, there will be soon. But for us to reach gender parity, we need to continue to work. There are also many other areas where the partnership has grown and diversified. But maybe Siki can add in French as well.
Absolument. Donc, je pense aussi que la possibilité d'avoir de plus en plus de volontaires nationaux qui servent en Centrafrique va permettre aussi d'avoir une masse critique, un pool, un vivier de Centrafricains qui pourraient être recrutés à l'international parce que au niveau mondial, il n'y a pas assez de représentativité des Centrafricains, même à l'international. Donc ça commence déjà grâce au programme de volontaires des Nations Unies, nous pouvons déjà créer ce petit vivier qui pourrait après être exposé à l'international.
You've lately talked about meeting UN volunteers serving in CAR. There are 350 in CAR working for stability and restoration of peace in MINUSCA and with UN agencies. As the executive coordinator, how do you evaluate their work and what they are consider is their added value to the UN system?
You are very well informed. You know even the number that is very precise number. That's exactly how many volunteers we have in Central African Republic. You know, for me, it's difficult to evaluate the work of UN volunteers because I just came here on a visit. What was important is that the managers, the leaders, the supervisors, they have themselves evaluated the work of the volunteers and they readily offered the feedback to us. They are the ones who evaluated and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. The special representative of the Secretary General keeps volunteers and their concerns very close to her heart, and she is well aware and she is extremely appreciative of the work of UN volunteers. And so many other UN leaders in the mission and the agencies, funds, and programs. So in terms of evaluation, it came from them. It is very positive. And maybe that will bring also to the question of the value add. Why are they evaluating positive? They're saying, first of all, UN volunteers are providing very strong professional competencies. We cannot say, and then themselves they acknowledge, we cannot say that UN volunteers are lacking in professional competencies compared to other categories of personnel. No. Sometimes they have outstanding professional qualifications. Most of the times. Second, UN volunteers, and that's the value add, is because of the nature of our UNV assignments, because of how we ended up being UNV, they tend to be more dedicated, more devoted, well above the mission's expectations. So that's what they value. that this is very passionate, dedicated, devoted group of people, on top of being professional. Third value add, as we say in the UN, value add. But third outstanding feature and the area of positive acknowledgement by the mission and by agencies, funds, and programs is that UN volunteers bring diversity. So here we have many international volunteers. You have your unique experiences. You have your proud cultures. You all have come together. You're making this mission so much more wonderful by bringing all this diversity from Burundi, from Chad, from so many other countries. Sometimes you take it for granted, but you make a big impact for people by creating diversity. And imagine 350 people, how much diversity they bring. Even though we have growing number of the national volunteers, but they also come from different parts of the country. And the internationals come from all continents. Also diversity in terms of the gender parity, and diversity in so many other respects. So there are many more value added. As executive coordinator of UNV, I can start listing them. I will find difficulty stopping. But three are important: strong professionalism, outstanding dedication, and remarkable diversity. Sika?
Je pense que ce que je peux ajouter à ce que vient de dire le coordonnateur, c'est justement cette diversité que vous apportez. Déjà, sur ce plateau, nous sommes en face de deux brillantes femmes qui sont des volontaires des Nations Unies, qui représentent deux cultures différentes, de l'Afrique de l'Est et de l'Afrique du Centre. Donc je pense que c'est ça qui apporte une valeur ajoutée à ce que nous faisons en tant que volontaires des Nations Unies.
Thank you. And what are your expectations at the end of this visit?
Very good question. The mission is still ongoing. The visit is still ongoing. We still have a day and a half of hard work ahead of us. I wish I could also answer this question tomorrow. Maybe my expectations would have been different. But one expectation on the part of UNV is very clear. We're here to improve and strengthen our partnership, building on the strength that we have developed. So my main expectation is that by the end of the mission, we'll have concrete list of priorities and a clear action plan that we'll put into implementation to help the mission, to help agencies, funds, and programs, and to help UN volunteers.
You are closely to the end of your visit. What the message do you have for UN volunteers and for partners, both UN and local?
For the UN volunteers, I have so many messages, and I would welcome, if this is going to be broadcast before tomorrow, for them to join the town hall meeting with all the UN volunteers tomorrow. For now, one message is just thank you. You have no idea, in every meeting we went to, everybody was praising you. And they were thanking us. And we say, why you thank us? You should thank the UN volunteers. So we were basking in your glory. But the second message is also to the UN leadership, to the managers, to the supervisors, and to the partners as well, as you had asked. Thank UN volunteers. Don't take for granted that they're doing all of this. Acknowledge their work. 5th of December is International Volunteer Day. We will all together celebrate the power of volunteerism. But managers and the leaders don't need to wait for the 5th of December. On the 5th of December, my message to the managers is, please look up for the volunteer next to you, walk up to them, shake their hands, look into their eyes, and say thank you. So happy International Volunteer Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Toily Kurbanov, thank you for this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.